Teachers and teaching, once again, are at the center of our national discourse about sources of academic achievement variation for students in schools. In our paper, we make a clear distinction between teacher quality and teaching quality, and we focus on the latter. Teaching is complex, so when we think about what's effective in teaching, we have to consider a tension between that complexity and how to scale up any effectiveness findings. Instead of ignoring this tension, we argue in this paper that we need to manage it. And we draw on our recent experiences with the Measures of Effective Teaching study, or commonly known as the MET study, sponsored by the Gates Foundation. This was a large study with nearly 3,000 teachers in grades 4 through 9, teaching math, biology, and English language arts from 2009 to 2011. The 10 of us who authored this paper were the first external users of the MET study data, and we received small research grants from the National Academy of Education to sponsor our work. Designs of large-scale studies should reflect a clear and coherent conceptualization of teaching. There should be an explicit framework of what constitutes quality in teaching, what specific features of teaching foster what specific forms of learning and why. The framing should be explicit about the unit of analysis. Is it teacher actions, teacher knowledge, curricular materials, student-teacher interactions, peer interactions? Conjectures within this framework should be clear and verifiable from the study design. The MET study included lots of measures without any clear framing for how concepts of teaching within those measures were supposed to be associated with learning and in what ways. For example, content knowledge for teaching was measured through a teacher survey, but once MET analysts found that this construct was not associated with gains in student achievement, they dropped the construct. And so scale, in this sense, was obfuscated by complexity in teaching effectiveness research, all for the sake of empirical expediency.
We suggest that measures of effective teaching should be technically strong. In this sense, many people think about reliability, that a measure can accurately assess the same thing over time, over people, over context. While that's certainly very important for any evaluation system, we also address issues of validity. That is, in this new genre of student voice measures being used to evaluate effective teaching, we're interested in really understanding what experiences or interactions would cause a student to endorse a certain item high or low. This is particularly important not just for predictive validity of what will influence achievement, but really important for targeted professional development experiences for teachers on the basis of measures of effective teaching. Videotaping is often considered a more objective, observational measure of effective teaching. While that can be the case, choices made in terms of implementing the videotape greatly affect the kinds of questions that can be posed and answered when trying to build theory of effective teaching. For example, videotapes used in the MET data set do not have high enough audio quality to be able to hear individual student interactions with the teacher and with each other. Therefore, any studies that are interested in understanding differential student experiences across subgroups or interactions are seriously constrained. Future work should leverage new technology that can allow for individual tracks of student audio and clear enough video that the facial expressions, gestures, and other body language that may accompany a student's psychological or emotional state be captured well.
We recommend efforts should be taken to minimize sampling problems, but also making the most of those sampling problems when they do occur. Indeed, sampling is the single most challenging design feature of large-scale effectiveness studies, and decisions about how to sample teachers and students should anticipate and make the most of practical problems like attrition and non-compliance with random assignment protocols. Doing so can provide new insights about teaching effectiveness. Second, it's important to be cautious and nuanced when using and interpreting VAM scores. VAM scores, based on value-added models, are used to isolate the effects of teachers on student achievement by analyzing test score gains and applying statistical controls to generate a teacher's value-added contribution to student achievement. A series of assumptions and limitations apply to all VAM scores. Therefore, conclusions based on VAM analyses should reflect the specifics of each VAM construction, the models and methods in which VAM scores are created, while also acknowledging how VAM-based rankings of teachers' effectiveness may vary across model specification, courses, and also school years. Researchers should continue to consider not only the construction of specific models before using VAMs in their secondary analyses, but also the implications for identifying and differentiating teaching effectiveness.
And we hope that you enjoy our paper and the recommendations we provide, especially to inspire a new generation of research on effectiveness in teaching. That improvement requires researchers, policymakers, and educators to account for the complexities inherent in teaching and learning in order to provide generalizable evidence at scale. Designs of effectiveness studies, we argue, and the measures and methods that they use should be conceptually clear and coherent, technically strong and transparent about practical problems that invariably arise in the data collection process. This way, effectiveness studies can identify the operative mechanisms affecting how students learn specific academic content across a variety of classroom contexts. Thank you.